Welcome to the Savvy Podcast, your 20-minute escape to sharpen your listening skills and pick up real-world vocabulary, all through fascinating conversations. I'm your host, Sam, and today we're joined by none other than Alfonso Pastorino, a true Renaissance man. Alfonso is a savvy coach and an intellect with many interests. We're also joined by Wendy Dubiansky, an equally accomplished singer, radio presenter, and fellow savvy coach. Both hail from Argentina, and together we'll explore an exciting range of topics, from Alfonso's journey learning English through Macbeth, to the iconic Maradona, and finally a deep dive into the buzz around Milei. Macbeth, Maradona, and Milei. Sounds good? Let's get started. Today we have two guests, Wendy and Alfonso, both from Argentina. How's it going?
Yeah,
muy bien, che.
Yeah. Let's get the ball rolling, first of all. Alfonso, you had an interesting first experience learning English. I mean, different to most people in the world. Your dad used to read Shakespeare to you before going to bed. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Very unusual bedtime stories. So yeah, my father would read Shakespeare's plays to us. For some reason, he preferred his tragedies instead of his comedies. So he read Macbeth, Richard III, Hamlet, and The Merchant of Venice to us. And the way he did it was very special because he would act out the plays.
Perfect. What is act out?
Like to perform, actuar.
Yeah, so he would perform them to you. Okay.
Exactly. And he did this with props.
Okay, and props are?
The elements you use when you are in a play, performing.
Yeah, for example, he had these plastic swords, and whenever a king in one of Shakespeare's plays spoke, he would take that sword. He even had, a plastic crown, and in Macbeth, three of the most important characters are three witches, and he even put on a mask, a witch mask, whenever the witches spoke.
Cute.
It sounds amazing, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish my dad did that.
Exactly.
And was Macbeth your favourite for that reason?
I think it's probably my favorite play by Shakespeare because it was the first one I was acquainted with, and there's also a supernatural element that I found fascinating as a child. Macbeth he's a general in Scotland, and these three witches come up to him and they tell him he's going to become king. He's going to be the future king of Scotland, and he becomes obsessed with this idea, and he goes to extreme lengths to achieve this goal, aided by his wife, Lady Macbeth, who's the mastermind behind his attempt.
Ooh, mastermind. What is a mastermind?
Well, I think it's the brilliant mind, the intelligent person designing a plan behind the person who takes action.
Mente maestra.
Exactly, in Spanish.
Okay,
So it's quite similar.
I'm learning a lot of Spanish here. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Now, at the end of Macbeth, there's one of the most famous quotes in English literature. So, Alfonso, could you give me your best Shakespearean English and give us that quote, please?
I'll do my best. But before reading the quote, I'd like to give you some context. As I said before, Lady Macbeth is the one that pushes her husband to do everything in his power to become king. But, spoiler alert, at one point she realizes everything is just bringing her a lot of sadness, and she decides to kill herself. So Macbeth has a candle in front of him, and he's looking at his dead wife's body, and he says, "Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Wow.
Dramatic.
I don't know how an Argentinian can read that so beautifully. They need to get you in London, on the stage, in the round.
The Globe Theatre, Alfonso.
But for our listeners, Alfonso, could you cut to the chase and give us an explanation of what that means? And actually, Wendy, what's cut to the chase?
To cut to the chase, we say in Argentina, please help me, in Spain, I think it's the same, ir al grano, to go directly to what you were going to talk about.
I think that's correct, actually,
Oh,
Wendy,
thanks.
from my knowledge.
Well, maybe our Spanish listeners can help us with that. Basically, what the quote means is that if you're somebody like Macbeth, whose only ambition in life is to have power and recognition from other people, and you don't have any ethics or moral scruples, at one point everything becomes meaningless. Life is nothing but a story, a tale told by a stupid person, an idiot, signifying nothing, completely meaningless.
And what is meaningless?
That's interesting. So a bit of grammar there. We've got a negative suffix, less. So we use that suffix to say that something is lacking a quality. So we have the word power, and if we add the suffix full, it means that a person has a lot of power, powerful. Mm-hmm. Powerless is the opposite. So here in this case, meaningless means without meaning.
Beautiful explanation. I want to take classes with you,
Couldn't
Alfonso.
have explained it better.
Yeah. Okay, and to you, Wendy,
Yes.
how was your childhood and education in Argentina? Did you begin with Shakespeare? Or?
First of all, I want to say I can't imagine Alfonso going to sleep as a child. What his mind...
Every single night.
Oh my God, but
What is a nightmare?
Pesadilla.
Pesadilla.
Bad dreams. Okay, well, mine was a little bit different, but I also had English in my life when I was a child. Luckily, I could say, because I was lucky to have an English teacher as a mother. So here comes the saying in English, like mother, like daughter, which in Spanish we say, de tal palo, tal astilla.
And also, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Another one, 2 for the same price. So my mother was never my teacher, actually, but she always talked to me and my sister in English, so we were super exposed to the language. I was very lucky to have that as a child. And then I, of course, studied at primary school. And also then when I was at high school, at secondary school, I went to a language school similar to Savi to practice more and to take my international exams. And then, well, I continued studying on my own.
And do you do anything now to keep up your level? Because you speak very well.
Thank you so much.
So do you, Sam.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I do a lot of practice.
You're a natural. Yeah. Okay. You say that you're a natural when a person has a good quality and they are very good at it. So now what do I do? Well, I teach English every day, so I keep on studying, investigating new expressions, checking the ones I know, and I also love music and TV shows. So I'm all the time singing in English, listening to music in English, and watching series. This is called passive learning. It means learning and having fun at the same time.
The best way to learn.
Definitely, apart from taking classes, of course.
From Savi.
Yeah. Great advertisement. Wendy, is there any particular music that you enjoy to listen to?
Well, I could say for me, music is, of course, we have different genres, different kinds of music, and there are some of them that I am into more. It means I like them more. But for me, music is one language. So if you're a music lover, normally you cannot stay just with one style. You just love all of it.
Give me one name.
Okay, one name. A singer, maybe?
A singer, band.
That comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Well, Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Or
Beautiful.
Ella Fitzgerald, jazz singer.
I agree. Beautiful.
She was an instrument in the flesh.
And Alfonso, I don't think we can have a podcast with two Argentinians and an Englishman without mentioning either the Falklands.
Malvinas for us.
Falklands. But we won't get stuck on that point. But also about the 1986 World Cup quarterfinal, the biggest travesty in the history of football. Could you explain this match to us?
I wouldn't describe the 86 quarterfinal as a travesty. I think it was arguably one of the most exciting games in the history of the World Cup.
Arguably. Oh yeah, arguably. But also, what does arguably mean, please?
Okay, we were talking about this word.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier on, and it's a tough one because I don't think there's a direct translation into Spanish, but podría decirse que, o se puede decir que, would be quite close.
Es probable, yeah.
Okay.
So, arguably one of the most exciting games, most interesting games in the history of the World Cup. And yeah, he scored 2 goals, as you said. The first one was a very unusual one because he scored it with his hand. So he went up for a challenge with England's goalkeeper, Peter Shilton, but instead of heading the ball, he punched it into the net.
And punched is?
So it's like dar un puñetazo.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
To hit with your hand.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's what boxers do.
Yeah, with the fist closed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then he just ran away. He started to celebrate his goal, pumping his fist in the air, and the referee missed the handball, and the goal stood.
Yeah, as I said, travesty. But then after that, he scored possibly one of the best goals ever, the goal of the century, people say.
Yeah, I mean, before moving on to that, I'd like to give you another quote. After the game, Maradona was asked about the handball, and he said, it was a little bit of Maradona's head, a little bit of God's hand.
Wow, brilliant. Okay, and yeah, the second goal for some more brilliance.
Shakespeare, are you there?
Yeah, Maradona and Shakespeare.
Are you talking to me?
And then 4 minutes later, he went on to score arguably one of the best goals in the history of football. He dribbled past 5 England defenders, and then he slotted the ball into the net. And yeah, it was a pure piece of genius that kind of shows what Maradona was like. I think that game encapsulates Maradona because it shows he was both a genius and a trickster, both at the same time.
Like a Shakespeare character.
Exactly, very, very Shakespearean character.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, and now, Wendy, I'm going to give you probably the most difficult question of this podcast.
Shoot.
The situation at the moment in Argentina. You left a year ago. Could you give us an insight of how it is and the situation?
Okay, thank you for calling me here. Goodbye. No, I'm kidding. Well, I mean, to start with, I would say the current situation in my country is nothing but Shakespearean at the moment. But it sounds like a joke, but actually it's super hard. As you are saying also, Sam, I left a year from now, but a lot of things have happened since then because we have a new president now called Milei. So he comes from the very strong oriented right of our country. So this is very, very different to anything we had before. Basically, my analysis is that after inflation rates skyrocketed and
Can we just describe what skyrocket is, Alfonso?
Okay, so we can look at the verb and kind of dissect it because we've got 2 words there, sky, el cielo, and a rocket. A rocket is un cohete in Spanish. So skyrocket, imagine a rocket going up in the sky. So it's a verb that is used to describe something that goes up very quickly.
Exactly. Thank you, Alfonso. I mean, I will take you to every podcast I speak on. So inflation rate skyrocketed, as I was saying, and employment rate plummeted, which is the opposite. Alfonso, in Spanish, what is plummet?
I think it's something like caer en picada.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To fall very fast. So, I mean, the situation has been extremely difficult over the years, and I feel the people, that is the way in English we can say el pueblo, were tired of the typical political parties that have always been in power in Argentina. So they were just looking for something new. Looking for is...
Buscar.
A phrasal verb for you.
I was slow on that one. Very good.
Another phrasal verb.
But hopefully it will turn around in the future.
We really hope so. I mean, turnaround means to change, to have a solution. Yes, now the current situation is super hard, but well, we all, people who are in every part of the world, and we love the country, not only Argentinians, we all hope that maybe the situation will turn around sooner than later, and we will have everything we deserve.
Good, good. Now, onto a lighter note. Alfonso, the best Argentinian food to try?
That's a tough one. I know what Wendy's gonna say, so I'm gonna give you a different one. I'm gonna go for milanesas.
Okay, could you describe to us what a milanesa is?
Milanesa is deep fried breadcrumb meat. And in Argentina, we've got something called milanesa alla napolitana. It's got nothing to do with Italy. Actually, Italians laugh at it when they hear the name.
True.
You know, because Milan and Naples are two very different regions, but it's an Argentinian thing. And so on top of the milanesa, we put ham, cheese, and tomato sauce, and it's absolutely delicious. And if you want to have it a caballo, that means, on horseback, you put two fried eggs on top. So, if you want to go to Argentina, be careful with your cholesterol levels.
I don't want to break your heart, but I'm not a big fan of milanesa.
Okay.
I find it a little dry, to be honest.
Dry.
Okay,
because
probably because
he never tried the Argentinian one.
That's why. You need to go to a good Argentinian restaurant. I'll take you there.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Wendy, what's your favorite?
I'm going to say what everybody is waiting for, what everybody expects. I am a fan of barbecue. I love animals. It's super difficult for me, but barbecue, that in Argentina we call asado, which is a special type of barbecue because it's made with a special grill. And it's not only food, it's a social event. So it is more meaningful than anything else you can imagine, because a family or a group of friends gather around the grill and they eat and drink and talk and laugh. There's sometimes even music in that event. So it's something
Lots of fernet as well.
Yes, fernet, which is again very typical, and it's something super, super nice to experience if you ever go there.
And can we give a shout out to chimichurri as well? My favourite sauce in the world. Well, perfect. We'll wrap up there. I think we've had a great conversation there.
Wrap up? What does that
Wrap
mean?
up is, Wendy, what's to wrap up?
To conclude, to give something a conclusion.
Okay, good. So we're going to wrap up here. I hope you agree we've got on better than Margaret Thatcher and the Argentinian government all those years ago, back then.
It was about time.
Back then?
Back then,
en ese entonces.
Okay, perfect. So
Great.
we'll finish. Thank you very much for coming in today, guys. And thank you
for having us.
Thank you, Sam.
And thank you to our listeners for listening. And we will see you next week for another podcast. Thank you very much. What an incredible chat with Wendy and Alfonso. We covered so much today, from getting the ball rolling to skyrocketing and even plummeting. There's a ton of useful vocabulary to explore, and I've got you covered. Just click the link in the description to sign up, and I'll send you a quick email packed with explanations and examples of everything we talked about today. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I will catch you next time. Thank you and goodbye.